Katsu curry. Preparation before receiving an order. Now we are going to make tonkatsu pork cutlets. First, let's make the batter. Prepare flour, water, and an egg in a bowl. If you do not have an egg, water will do as a substitute. Beat the egg with a whisk. Make sure to mix the egg yolk with the egg white. Add water. Note, do not add liquid to flour because it creates more gluten, in turn making the batter too thick. So always add flour to liquid, never the other way around. Move the whisk from the top and occasionally stir. Instead of stirring it vigorously, just take the powder off the side of the bowl and beat the powder. Add more flour again. Repeat until the consistency is nice and thick. However, keep in mind that if it's too thick, the batter will stick to the pork too much. Now the batter is ready. Let's prepare the meat. The most common part used when making Japanese pork cutlet is pork loin. The thickness of the meat is your choice, but the recommended thickness is roughly 1.5 centimeters, 0.6 inches thick. Cut the meat and keep it in the fridge or freezer until you receive an order. First, spear the meat. By spearing the meat like this, it cuts the muscle fibers off. Then you can prevent the meat from shrinking while frying. You can use the tip of the knife to cut the tendons as shown here. It's okay to do the same for the fresh part as well, but ideally, it's best to cut where the tendon is. Once you have done this, season the meat with salt and pepper. Tap it with your hands like this. You can spear the tendons on the other side as well. The next step is to coat it with flour, batter, and breadcrumbs. Now we are going to coat the pork with the batter. You can do it by hand, but it is faster and less messy if you use a bamboo skewer. Today we're using small trays, but in your restaurant, use larger trays or containers as it's easier to complete this process with a skewer. Arrange these trays in this right-to-left flow. This way, the process flows much more smoothly. Insert a bamboo skewer into the meat and coat it with flour. At this time, dust off any excess flour. Next, dip it into the batter. Thanks to the bamboo skewer, you can keep your hands clean. Remove the excess batter, then put it in the breadcrumbs. You can coat it with your left hand. Once the pork is covered in breadcrumbs, press them lightly so that the pork is tightly coated. Then place it on a tray. You can also adjust the shape of the edges like this. Deep fry the cutlets. Today, we demonstrate the 2-time frying technique, which allows you to serve the dish very quickly. First, heat up the oil. Check the temperature with this remaining batter, dropping the batter into the oil. If the batter comes up immediately after sinking to the bottom of the pan, it means that the temperature is about 170 degrees Celsius, 340 degrees Fahrenheit. If it comes up after staying on the bottom of the pan for a while, it is still around 160 to 165 degrees Celsius, 320 to 330 degrees Fahrenheit. At 180 degrees Celsius, 360 degrees Fahrenheit, it comes up even before reaching the bottom of the pan. Let's do it again. You can see that it's coming up just before it reaches the bottom of the pan. This is proof that the temperature is already close to 180 degrees Celsius, 360 degrees Fahrenheit, which is ideal. Now let's deep fry the cutlets. Note, this time we only have 2 cutlets, so it's not a big problem. However, if you deep fry several cutlets at once, the oil temperature will drop drastically. Therefore, you have to increase the heat after putting the cutlets into the oil. Also, depending on whether the oil is fresh or used, the results will vary. An important note, do not touch the cutlets while deep frying because it damages the coating. If the batter sticks to the bottom of the pan, the part of the meat sticking to the pan gets burnt easily, which leads to uneven cooking. In that case, move the meat around to prevent it from cooking unevenly. Turn them over when the batter has solidified and deep fry them for a little while. At this point, increase the heat. If the bubbles around the meat are still big, like this, it means there is still a lot of moisture inside. You will notice the sound of the frying change as the moisture is gradually removed. Because you will fry them twice later, take the cutlets out from the oil before they are fully cooked and keep them in an oil-draining tray. While keeping them in a tray, it's best to stand them up as much as possible so the oil can drain off. Keep the cutlets this way until an order comes in. Anytime you deep fry, try to remove these crumbs as much as possible. Once you receive the order, fry the cutlet a second time. When you fry the cutlet for the second time, check the color of the cutlet. If the cutlet is already well browned, the oil temperature should not be set too high. If the cutlet needs a little bit more browning, set the oil temperature on high. This time, the color is good, so deep fry again without increasing the temperature too much. Also, unless you are frying with a deep fryer machine, check the temperature with the batter before frying again. It's already at about 190 degrees Celsius, 374 degrees Fahrenheit. Note, if the temperature is too high, the batter will turn brown. Now the gas has been turned off. Please control the gas based on the state of the cutlets. It's time to deep fry them for a second time. Pro tip: when you deep fry food, it's important to finish frying at a high temperature like 180 to 190 degrees Celsius because the oil drains well when the temperature is high. When the cutlet floats to the top like this, it means the cutlets are cooked through. This is a signal that they are ready, so take them out of the oil. It is best to leave them standing in an oil tray instead of laying them down. The cutlets are now ready to be cut into pieces. After cutting the top edge, cut off the rest in one go, like this. For katsu curry, serve the curry on a plate and then put the cutlet on top. Here, hold all slices with a knife and fan them on top of the curry. And there you have it. Katsu curry is now ready to serve.